If you've been following this saga since the Dodgers reportedly signed him, he signed a contract with the Dodgers. The terms of that contract changed after taking a physical. Basically, his base number is much lower now. I suppose it sounds like there's actually a possibility that he earns more money if he hits all of his incentives. But kind of an interesting piece here, Matt, because we knew the first contract was pending a physical. He takes the physical. We knew this was the guy with injury problems. I'll say this as a Raiders fan that lived through Jimmy Garoppolo signing a contract and then having a physical, and they tweaked the entire contract and then still signed him. And then it was a disaster because he was hurt right away. So I've got PTSD on this type of thing, but as Dodger fans, for a guy that potentially could be making a lot of money, seems to be sort of earmarked for a big role in the rotation this year, should we be concerned with some of the tweaks made here?
Not more concerned than maybe you might have been at the time of kind of, the original terms. I think when he was signed, and we'll give Blake a chance to hype up the addition of Big, what is he, Big Maple? Is that his nickname?
Maple. Yeah.
I think Blake was definitely the high man on him amongst us. And so I don't think there's reason to be more concerned.
Yeah.
I think what I found interesting is Paxton revealing that basically the Dodgers, their primary concern, or what really they seem to have not necessarily focused on, but brought up at least initially, was his right knee inflammation that he dealt with at the end of last season, which ended him early. Because when we saw the reports of it was reworked, I assumed it was probably like shoulder, maybe Tommy John stuff lingering. And he did say that Tommy John was something they asked about, but that was multiple years ago. So, the fact that it was the knee, makes me worry a little bit, just because it's not what I would have guessed.
Blake, what do you make of this?
I'm not too concerned about it until we actually see it come up and being an issue. If it was an arm issue or a shoulder issue kind of thing, that would be more concerning to me. But because it's the knee, it's probably something he could end up working through a bit if it's a bit sore. And if he needs some time off, it would be easy to shut him down for a week or so here and there. So I don't have major concerns about it until it actually keeps him off the mound. I think it's more the Dodgers just trying to protect themselves in case something does come up where he can't pitch for a longer term, which is just something they're always going to do with players. They rework contracts all the time. I'm sure it's more often than it gets reported, even because physicals reveal things that they didn't know. And then they try and make the changes just to make it safer for them. It is a business at the end of the day. So I'm not too concerned about it. I think the main thing we knew with Paxton is he's talented, but he does have the injury issues. So it's not like unexpected that there's something with Paxton that they're already keeping an eye on. But if he can provide them with some innings to start the season for the first 2 or 3 months, and then you get Buehler back and potentially May back and Kershaw back down the line, I just don't think it's too much to worry about.
Yeah, looking at sort of the reworking, originally it was set to be an $11 million contract. I believe they've moved it down to the base salary of $4 million. There's a $2 million bonus if he is on the roster, either in Korea or by opening day in Los Angeles. And then additional bonuses, I believe it's for like 6, 8, 10, and 12 starts. And so basically, if he's healthy by the time opening day happens, and then for half of the season, he could actually, again, make up to 14 million instead of the 11 that he was sort of set to make. So I think, like, part of me, that's a positive that the Dodgers were actually saying, hey, we want to sort of mitigate our risk in the event that you're hurt. But like the fact that they didn't tear up the contract and say, hey, this is a disaster, we don't want anything to do with it, and said, hey, if this works out for you, we'll actually pay you more money. To me, it tells you like they weren't overly concerned, but they just wanted to kind of protect themselves in the event that things go sideways. And we've seen things go sideways. How many times have the Dodgers signed somebody who had injury risk? Typically not for $11 million. Typically it's like $1 million, $1 million, Jimmy Nelson, and then Danny Duffy. And we never actually see them pitch for the Dodgers. So Blake, we're not headed for a Jimmy Nelson, Danny Duffy scenario here, right?
I don't think so. I think if that was a major concern, like you said, they would have kind of ripped up the contract and moved on to other options. I think it more might have been part of like saying, hey, if something does happen, this gives us a little more financial flexibility to go out and add a pitcher at the trade deadline if we need some, or kind of fill in there where we're not committed 14 million to you or 11 million to you. So it's just kind of giving them options and protecting themselves a bit more, while also saying, like Paxton, hey, you have the opportunity to earn more if you do stay healthy. So I'd say it kind of makes sense for them from that standpoint.
Yeah, financial flexibility. I think at this point it's like I agree with you. It's just funny because it's like 300 million. Like what's the difference between 4 million and 11 million and 14 million? It's almost like who cares, on this
They'll
kind
have
of
the
thing.
110% tax for the
Yeah,
money they go over there from that point. So if you're looking at going 3 million over, then you're, what is that, like 10 million over or something instead. So it
yeah,
does add up.
yeah. It's so 100%, 110% tax. If it was 3 million, then you would pay what, an extra 3.3 million on top. But for every 3 million you spend, you're paying an additional 3.3 million on top of that as well. Matt, any last thoughts on Paxton here before we kind of open this up to a mailbag and get to some questions?
Yeah, I think there's two things too. One, like Paxton, when he was kind of revealing what the issues were that the Dodgers sort of raised with his contract, and not that I would expect him to say anything less, but he did say he is feeling healthy and he's okay and like things are fine. But really, kind of back to our earlier point about starting pitchers and piggybacking them and out in Korea, the Dodgers schedule does set up favorably because theoretically, like Paxton, I assume like he doesn't have to pitch during those two games against the Padres.
Yeah.
He probably won't. Then maybe you have him start one of the exhibition freeway series games if you need to, or maybe you don't. But then after that, because of all the time off, like he still could be pushed back. Like he could be your fifth starter in the opening day rotation, right? Like the order won't necessarily matter that much at that point. And so then it kind of buys you extra time if for whatever reason his knee there's a little bit of soreness. Maybe he does, like I said, maybe he does start against the Angels, starts to deal with some potential soreness. Well, then, you have your day off before the season starts, then you could kind of push his start back. And they also have a lot of early off days in their schedule, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, looking at their schedule now, I mean, so March 20th and 21st are their two games in Korea. Then they have a full week off. Their opening day at Dodger Stadium is March 28th. To your point, if Paxton is the number 5 starter, he could go all the way till April 1st, which would be their 5th game. So they don't have an off day until after their 7th game of the season. Well, 2 games in San Diego, lots of break, 7 games, then an off day. But to your point, we're talking about March 20th versus April 1st could be Paxton's first start. I would say is projected to be Paxton's first start because I don't think any of us have him higher than 4th in the opening day rotation. Well, I guess depending on, we all think highly of Emmett Sheehan. So I think Paxton is probably 5th if Emmett Sheehan is in that group. So, but yeah, that gives him plenty of time to rest up, recover, kind of work the kinks out that he needs to be ready for opening day. So